Hello and welcome to, I do this, it comes up and it's saying that it is logging in. So hopefully it is up now. Hello and welcome to Friday nights, the Female Expansionist Collective. We have just had a little moment where we realized Google had lied to us and our time zones were a little bit out. So I really do apologize for anybody who may have been waiting around for us to come on. We are here now. We are so excited. And as you can see, we have the absolutely gorgeous Samantha Nicole sat waiting with us. Just before I bring you on, I just want to say, anybody that's watching, you remember we have the expansive giveaway. There are limited ways to get involved and the prizes are absolutely incredible. So the way to get involved in that is tag somebody below who you feel this may help, or share, or you can also come into the Female Expansionist group, which there is more information in there about all of the ways and all of the things how we can get the giveaway prizes. Okay, I am so excited. I've literally been waiting all day for this. It is nighttime here and it's been one of them days I'm like, come on, nighttime. So Sam, thank you so much for being here. Can you introduce yourself? Who are you? What is it that you do?
Okay. I feel like, at that point in your business where you realize you're just doing a lot of things. I'm like, which version of me am I now? So online, as a online entrepreneur, I am a female leadership, fitness, health, nutrition coach. I love to help women figure out what does it take to include nutrition and health and fitness into their lives, whether it's due to our busy schedules as entrepreneurs, whether it's due to our overwhelming feelings when it comes to being a parent. It is so important as women that we take care of ourselves. That's what I found. And so I built the brand Active and Attractive because as women, we desire to feel attractive. We want to just feel like the most confident version of ourselves. And oftentimes when it comes to the world of fitness, we think that attraction comes from like physicality, the way that we look. But what I found is that when we exercise, we take care of our bodies, we prioritize who we are and what we need, we actually become more energetically attractive. And energetically attractive means that we are connected and aligned with everything that we are. And what ends up happening is that everything in our life ends up matching that. So that's what I'm all about. I love helping female entrepreneurs. I love helping female leaders on a mission, women who are out there looking to develop their intuition, develop their divine sense of self, and use the power of movement to really, really amplify that version of them.
Wow. What an introduction. I buzz of how you share your message, how it comes across, because it is absolutely everything. My skin just tingles when you talk. And so Sam, for anybody that's watching this, I've been working closely with Sam for the last few months. We've been in a mastermind together and it's just been an absolutely incredible journey. But I don't actually think Sam knows this, but I have been secretly stalking her group. And over the past few weeks, as I've been watching it, I have been watching the different free information that's out there, and I've actually started jogging. I didn't do it this morning though, actually, but that was only because the little one woke up too early. But I started jogging again. I really am tapping into this, or feeling the difference of the energy as well, and having that movement. As a mum I'm always busy, I'm on my feet, but to actually energize myself and have that time for myself, I'm finding that that's the bit that I've been missing. And it's so good. And I cannot wait to hear these questions and just how much we're going to get from this. I'm so excited. So excited. So as those that have been watching this already, the first question I am asking everybody, the reason being is we all have different definitions. We all know or think of a word and it can mean completely different to one person than the other. So what does the term expansion mean to you?
Oh, that just that sends chills down my skin. Wow. The term expansion to me means I want to use the word expanding, but the way I see it is that there's a growth, there's a stretching. And even deeper, whenever I think of us as women, I see this, the deeper we connect in alignment, the more radiant we are. I see expansion as like a light that's emitting from us. Like we all have an aura. And one of the things that I teach in Active and Attractive is that every time we're active, we end up expanding our aura. I call it amplifying your aura. There's different things we can do in the health and fitness world, a health and wellness world, that amplifies our aura. Even though we have a tendency to believe that exercising or running 3 days a week is more, it pulls us away. But in reality, we're designed to move. That's what our bodies have joints and muscles and blood vessels for. We're designed to be moving. And from a spiritual perspective, when we're moving our body physically, we end up generating all of this connection, and it allows us to connect into the divine. And the divine allows us to really, really tap in. And the second we snap into that, we expand, because we create a field of everything that we have to offer. And that is what I think of when I think of expanding.
I'm just mind blown. I love it. And I think for me, I think what I find the difference is how you incorporate into your health and wellness. For me personally, when it's come to thinking about my health and wellness, it's always been from a conditioned base. It's always been, I need to be exercise so that I feel healthy, I feel happy. And it was always, I'll be happy when I'm back to my 9 stone, or I'll be happy when I'm a bit more toned or something. And it's always been very kind of materialistic for me. And what I've been learning from you over the time is how much I knew everything was connected. I have that knowing that it's all connected, but just the difference, just by moving your body, just by allowing your energy to move. Energy, emotion is energy in motion. So as we move our body, for me especially, and I know you know about it as well, being emotional authorities, I've spoke about it in a couple of the interviews already, but I and Samantha, sorry, we go through I don't know where that come from. We go through these emotional waves, and what I've realized is with the exercises, when I can feel my mood dipping, even just doing some star jumps, even just jogging on the spot, jumping up and down, just to shift that energy to move, has just been life-changing, especially when things are getting a bit too on top of me and I'm like, oh, I need to take a step back, and I haven't got the space to take the step back. Bearing in mind, I don't stand in the shopping queue and start doing star jumps.
But you could. I wouldn't judge you.
And if I think I'd get to the stage of where if I was feeling like that, I'd be like just stepping, or I'd be doing something, because my energy is so important to me, and I know that is a way to release it. So as the more that we realize this, the more we just do it as second nature, don't we? So I just love that. Okay, so my favorite question, and I'm so curious to know. So take yourself back 5 years ago. Did you envision being where you are now in your life and business?
The answer is flat out no.
Expand a little bit for us.
Okay, 5 years ago was probably around the time that I touched the idea of the online space. But I had no idea what it would look like. I didn't even understand what a target audience was, an ideal client, a soulmate client. I didn't understand any of that. I just had started. So probably around 6 years ago, I left college to go into my first full-time job. And the full-time job was at a really nice gym. And I was in it for the long haul. I knew I wanted to be there for a while. I wanted to learn. I wanted to, explore what all of this gym had, so many opportunities. I wanted to stretch all of it. So my brain was not thinking, go bigger. I was like, this is pretty big right now. I'm good. But as what happens every single time is we do expand. We expand. And Lauren, literally at the very end of my time there, I had extended my welcome, in the sense that, when it's just time to leave, but you stay longer than you do. I extended my
itchy feet, and you're like, this is so uncomfortable.
Yeah. I would describe my time there as that moment when Alice in Wonderland, when she crawled into the little door and she drank the potion in that house, and she got big to where her arms and her legs were sticking out of the house. I love that. how I described it. And I even have a picture on my wall over here in my house where my friend had bought me, he had found a really vintage photo to represent that feeling. He's like, you need to go do it. But my fear was still far bigger than me, right? And so 5 years ago, though, I couldn't even be afraid because I didn't even know that this is what I wanted. But it was the moment when the idea dropped in. I just so happened to fall into a new client, and turns out she really defined a lot of the online coaching world, and really cool to watch her grow. She was the first person that introduced me to the world of online coaching. And after that, I've never been able to get it out of my head. So every day from that point on, I continued expanding and doing what I needed to do and doing the inner work and discovering more about me and discovering more about what I don't like, discovering more about what I do like. And now I'm finally free from that full-time job, and I'm completely dived into this online passion love space that I call Facebook.
Is it a year ago today? Was it today or is it this week?
Yes.
Was it
Yes.
today?
Yes, literally. It's
Congratulations! Happy 1 year.
Yeah.
That's
So I
amazing.
really celebrate that. Like, I posted about it, but I don't think I've been able to slow down today yet to really be like, wait, a whole year? What in the world?
Yay! And it's huge, isn't it? It's huge when we look back. So obviously I've asked you the question is 5 years ago. Just briefly touch on, what did it look like 1 year ago for you?
Oh my gosh. So 1 year ago was everything that I see right now around me is what I wanted.
Yes.
It wasn't like this.
Goosebumps again.
It was this, oh, that person has this, and oh, that's interesting that they have that. It was, I know that I want this, this, and this. And now I can say I have it. And a lot of it I didn't get until maybe the last 3 months, last 2 months, the last 1 month. Lauren, a lot of what I've wanted are tangible things, but I can tell you straight up, what I realized after understanding that we can have whatever we want. But the deepest thing that I have wanted in my soul is the feeling of peace, the feeling of security, the feeling of understanding, the feeling of knowing. I didn't want to just know things and be able to regurgitate them back. I wanted to actually feel this. Yeah. Exactly, the sense of security, the sense of peace, the sense of understanding money, the sense of being able to do and create the life that I've wanted. And so that's been honestly within the last two or 3 months where I feel like I've really grabbed that. But yeah, it manifests into physical things that I have, and it's been absolutely amazing.
It's absolutely mind-blowing. And I think one of the whole reasons in me doing this series is because it's all about, for myself, if I take myself back years ago, I used to believe I couldn't change, that this is what I was, and unfortunately I got a bad experience, and that's how life is going to be. And every person who we speak to who's in this industry, who's been on here, has all said that 5 years ago they didn't even know about the industry, or they didn't have any idea where they wanted to go. And what you've just shared with us is so powerful, because 5 years ago for yourself, you didn't know the industry, you didn't have that clear vision. But then when you got the clear vision a year ago today, celebrating again, as you did it, you now are in that vision. You are living your life from the place that you desired a year ago. Time is irrelevant. Time is absolutely irrelevant. And what I'm saying is, anybody's watching this and they're going, I'm not there yet. And I'm one of them people as well. There's certain aspects, certain goals where I feel that until I reach that, then I won't be successful. And I know that is the wrong way. The feeling comes first. It's about having it, and everything that you've just said then about truly embodying the lessons, the tools, each of, the gratitude, each of everything. If we embody it, we feel it. We don't need to stand there and teach it. And I just absolutely love how you are a pure example of that, and how anybody that's watching this will just look at you in absolute awe and say, in 1 year. And if you look at Sam's work, I will put the links below at the end of this, but if you look at Sam's work, go into a group, you will be absolutely just like, oh, this is amazing. And I just know you get so much from it. So before I carry on, because I feel like I'm asking you random questions and I'm throwing you off, but it's so good. Okay, so we each have a reason why we do something. What dreams and goals inspired you to succeed?
Oh my gosh. Wow. When I mentioned I had a client who ended up really defining this online coaching industry world, I met her when she was in the process of creating her very first course. And feeling like I'm meeting just another person for a new client and watching them scale to a multi-million-dollar business, make massive impact in the world, like all of these things, it's very hard to be that close to the beginning of someone's success who you're friends with, and watch them grow and not know that it's possible for you too. And that's what happened to me. I feel like that I have to give that credit for what it was, because that was a very unique position to be in. And from that point on, any other time I saw women started, because of her, other women started succeeding, and other women started kind of saying the same thing. And it just started growing like wildfire over the last 4 to 5 years. And it was in this stage of realizing that watching other women succeed, and that we get to all succeed, and it gets to be amazing. It's what kept me motivated, was knowing that every single one of us started somewhere close to the same spot. And the ones who were shooting off like rockets, they figured something out. And that's what I need to search for, because once I figure that out, it might not be easy, but it's going to be beautiful, and it's going to be empowering, and it's going to be that feeling that I'm looking for. And that is what I started seeking in other women, is what is it that they did? How is it that they felt? What is it that they're doing? And celebrating every aspect of them. Because the second I was able to accept that their success is also my success, and if I can see it, I'm close to it, that's what keeps me motivated. And I realize I've transferred that into all areas of my life. If I get to witness the other things of other people succeeding, or what's possible, it's easily possible for me.
I love that. And that was definitely, it's like a mantra of mine. Definitely a few years ago, it was always, if they can, I can. And it was to really change my mind and my perspective that we're all humans. And if there's somebody out there doing something that you absolutely love and you dream of, if they are doing it, there is more potential for you to do it, or to find a team of people that can help you create it. There is always, it's all man-made. If one person can do it, we all can. And for me, it took me a while to get my head around it. But every time now, if I see somebody celebrating, earning so much in their business, or somebody getting a new client, or somebody just being absolutely incredible, I know that it is all there to show me that I also can have it too. And it truly is a huge mindset shift, that where we can look for evidence of other people succeeding, we can also do it.
Absolutely. So part of the understanding about being active and attractive is, yes, it's being active physically to be energetically attractive, but there are other elements that we can be active in that are going to also make us attractive. And that is doing things like actively listening, actively being present, actively celebrating, actively being in the moment, actively loving your life, actively doing all these things, being very intentional. And one of those is being intentional enough to look for the evidence in your life, and not float up into the negative space of, but what if, and what if?
Yeah.
It's so easy to do. But if we remember that if I keep my feet on the ground and I'm actively doing my inner work, I'm actively chugging away, success is inevitable. And we are going to figure out what needs to be healed within, so that we are fully energetically attractive to our desires.
I love that. Just as you mentioned that as well, I remember taking part in your free meditation, active meditation, was it?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't quite sure if I got the title right. That was so powerful, so powerful. And it was just what I find is, the simpler the task, the harder it is for my mind, but once I can get my head around it, the most profound experience that I have. And then 5 days were truly, I went on some journeys and they were so incredible. And I loved the opportunity to speak up, to share about it, to say, hey, this is what happened, this is where I went, this is what I got told. And I've never seen that before. I've had lots of groups or courses where I've gone to learn different parts of meditation, but it's always been kind of information. The fact that I was able to speak up and not have that resistance around me to say, yeah, you're tapping into it here. This journey is you enlightening yourself. You know, you're expanding. You're opening up. And I absolutely love that. And I don't think I actually mentioned it much. It feels like ages ago, doesn't it? Just as you said it now, I'm like, oh, because one of them meditations were the most powerful. I remember it so clearly, and it was one of my future self. And I see it every day.
I remember your story. It's
beautiful,
beautiful,
weren't they? They were powerful. So yeah, I just wanted to say that was it was a really, really powerful free challenge that you offered.
Absolutely. And that to me is the perfect example of being active. The whole intention of that meditation was for us to boldly go down into the areas in our hearts that we don't necessarily feel comfortable exploring. But the action of going in was the active part. That was you actively choosing, I'm willing to look at the dragons that may be there. And when we realize that we have the audacity, the boldness, the courage, the beauty that comes out on the other side, that allows us to love ourselves just that much more. And every time we choose to do that, we become more aware of who we are, and that the awareness is what makes us attractive. So
incredible. It's incredible. It really is. Okay, so a few times you've mentioned about somebody who's influenced you. The next question is, who has influenced you most on the journey? Do you feel comfortable with sharing, or is there, I bet there's loads. And I think this question can be quite a tough one, because for myself, I couldn't actually pinpoint it down to two hands, all of the influences. So feel free to answer that in whatever way feels comfortable for yourself.
Absolutely. So the client I was referring to is Amanda Francis. And a lot of people, I want to say, I feel like a lot of people know her. I know her, and it's just wild to me when her name gets brought back around in like a circle, because again, still the Amanda Francis to me from what is 5 years ago now, and like watching.
Well, I'm not quite sure how old is she, but do you remember as like the school age type teenager? Yes. Because for me, Amanda Francis was one of the first person I started listening to when it comes to manifestation and money. I listened to her, if not every day, every other day, especially her getting ready meditation, you know, the day one that you can do while you're on the go. It just gets me right in the mood. I love it.
I love that. I called her phone and her voice message because I got her as a lead at the gym, and I called her voice message, and she had the most unique voice message. She was like, if I'm not, you know, walking on the block, I'm either laying out by the pool or I'm doing this, but I'm just, you know, and she was just her own vibe. And I left a voice message, and I was like, I don't know you yet, but I'm about to be your new trainer. I'm really excited to meet you. Like, she was a vibe. And then from the very beginning, she would come into her sessions and said, hey, you know, I'm going to be starting this new program. I'm going to be charging this much. And she would just talk about it. And she would talk about it. And that was the very first online program she ever launched. And wow. It was just so inspiring, because especially Sammy now, looking back to then, it was like, that's what all of us are doing. Having that same first program that's launching for the first high ticket ever. And if we keep going, we get the same success. It's just natural for us, period. So that's
don't drop the ball, isn't it? Just keep on going. Don't drop the ball. Keep on learning. And for you, I feel that must be such an incredible feeling for you to have that as, if she can, I can. Because for me, I look at YouTube and I'm like, if she can, I can. So to know personally, and to see the growth, to see the transformation, and to know that, because sometimes, and this can't just be me, but sometimes I look at other people and that comparison, it's like, but maybe they had a better start. Maybe they had more money in the bank. Maybe they knew more. Maybe they and all of these excuses of why I can't possibly do it. But to have that right on your doorstep, to know that these are the steps and I'm doing it. And now for you to sit here on your 1 year anniversary, I'm still celebrating this 1 year anniversary, to be living the life that you once didn't even dream of. And I just, power, expansion.
Oh my gosh, so much expansion.
I just love that. And thank you so much for sharing as well. So what's been the most important leadership lesson you've learned, and how did you overcome it?
So many people are talking about this right now. There's two. One is the power of celebration. Woo, 1 year, yes. The power of celebration rocked my socks off. Absolutely rocked my socks off. But the second biggest, I want to call it an epiphany, and that's not even doing it justice. It's like the biggest new moral code that I've applied to my life, that it will never go away from this point moving forward, is the simple fact that if I expect something from someone, I must first be doing it myself. Period.
Wow.
I will never have as much power to encourage, to support, to love, to influence, to guide, all of these things, if I first haven't done it myself. And alternatively, from an energetic standpoint, for me to be pointing a finger and saying, hey, you should do this. Hey, you, why don't you do this? If I have not done it myself, it is completely out of integrity. It is completely out of alignment for me to fully expect the same thing to reciprocate. And so what I love about it, the reason I'll never let it go, is because who I get to be when I first choose to take myself through what I would like to take other people through, is that I get to be that same like elevated version, that same expanded version of myself that I would love to see in the other person. Yeah. So it's joyful for me, and it's even more joyful for them, because now as a leader, I'm actively choosing to be a leader for people. I get to be the type of leader that other women can rely on through and through. And I can speak from a place of experience and not knowledge. That's Absolutely. The big difference.
And that's one of the big, I wouldn't say lessons, but I see it all the time. And especially, let's just take it away from the online space. And even if we just look at like the education system, there's teachers are there to pass knowledge over. But imagine if every teacher embodied what they spoke and what they desired. Like, imagine every history teacher really embodying it. And I'm just trying to give examples of, but what I have found is I've had a few coaches who, we go through the structure, we go through the strategy. That was the word that I was looking for. So it's do the website, do this, make sure that you've got a landing page, make sure you've got all of the things. And then when you look at it, they haven't got all of the things. It's not working really. And it's kind of like, for me, let me take it back to like my coaching. So when I'm doing the coaching, it is, I could not possibly walk somebody through how to challenge their beliefs or how to do a journaling activity to release emotions if I hadn't done it myself, because I would be telling somebody to do something, and when them hiccups come up, because they do, when that fear comes up, when that resistance comes up, you're going to know straight away, because I can literally say, that's okay, try this way, look at it this way, you know, and I can really talk through because I've experienced it myself. And I think that is just so powerful that you've mentioned that. And I just loved how you said it's out of integrity. It would be completely out of alignment to tell somebody to do something that you haven't done or are not prepared to do yourself. And I think this is the very distinctive difference between coaches, you know, and teachers, and, you know, in that kind of world. So I just love how you bring that up, and I fully agree with you.
It's the one thing, whether it's me speaking to my child and leading them, whether it's me speaking to my husband and leading him, whether it's speaking to a client and leading her, I would never feel as good about climbing up a mountainous journey. I had a path and it was a mountainous one, and I was following someone who also had never been up the mountain. versus someone who had been up and down it more than once and they felt so excited about doing it. Whenever I would be emotionally hurt, I would get to lean on their excitement.
Who would you rather go away with? If you're going on an adventure trip, would you rather go away with Bear Grylls or would you rather go away with your next door neighbor?
Hey, right there, Bear, all the way. And I'll pay good money for him too, because I really want to have a good time.
Yeah, but it's a very, very good explanation, isn't it?
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. And that's the bottom line. And I get to experience Bear Grylls' excitement, but he is the happiest person with what he does. And that's just a beauty in the world in itself. Watching someone in their passion is like infectious. So it's important for all of us to understand that when we get to live in our passion, we get to feel it, but to other people, we're beautiful. And that light is what it expands and lights up other people. Because if she can be that happy, if she can be that just, feel good, I'm going to do whatever it takes to find the light within me too. And imagine if all of us were as passionate as Bear Grylls. Fearless. Imagine just a beautiful, very strong world.
And that's my dream. That is part of my dream, to the people whose lives that I touch and who are around in my world, and that ripple effect is to create peace and freedom within, and all of that kind of there's so much, and I'd start really thingy on that one, so I'm going to stop it there and not take up your time. I just absolutely love this. I do. So share with us a little bit, how do you approach the unknown and learn to embrace risk?
And learn to embrace
risk.
Yeah. So here's what about myself. I have to, this is what I recommend for my clients every single time when they're stepping into the health and fitness world. I could argue that for many, many people, like high percentage of people, that when you say fitness or nutrition, it immediately goes into a fear, blackout, black zone, like vortex of, I don't think I can do that. So in this scenario, you can equate that to the risk, and taking a risk if they commit to this diet, taking the risk if they commit to this workout plan, and it's unknown. So what I encourage everybody to do, because this is how I think. I used to think only the bold, only the brave are the type that just jump into as far as you can go, straight into the black hole. You figure it out. That's what's advertised as cool. And that's what's advertised as badass. And that's what's advertised as all of these things. And it's it's idealistic. It's true, but it's idealistic. But for me, I have found that it is so important to take one step and take the most fun step you can take. The most fun that makes sense right now. The most fun step that makes sense right now, and let it be fun. And in the health and fitness world, what that would look like is, rather than saying, I'm going to commit to 5 days of working out, 3 days of 3-mile runs, I'm going to make sure I stretch afterwards, and then I'm going to eat only lettuce, and then I'm going to go to bed on time, plus turning off my phone early enough so the blue light, because the blue light keeps all of these things, overcommitted, big leap, jump into the black hole. 99%
times.
You already know the rest of that sentence.
Okay.
So respecting the idea that fun is aliveness, fun is the highest vibration we can express, fun is the most attractive vibe that we can put out there, fun is expansive. Why not choose to take the smallest step if it's the most fun? And trust and have faith that the next day you're going to be more willing to take another step, because we know it's fun now. We've proved to ourselves that it's fun. And then the next day, take another step and realize that it's going to be more fun. Because what's more important than anything, whether it's the unknown, jumping into risk, whatever it is, if we take small enough digestible steps that we can celebrate, and that doesn't send us far off into resistance land to where we're debilitated and we can't make a move, then what we do is we end up developing consistency. consistency. And in the case that you alluded to, just the unknown in general, what happens is it could be in any area in our life. If we take small, fun steps, we're still training ourselves to be comfortable with the unknown. And that's all that matters. So recognizing that we have the capacity to link the unknown and the word risk to fun, oh my gosh, anything is possible at that point. But knowing that every single time that we set the boundary to take another step, the only reason we fall is because we chose to take too big of a step. And we're the only person expecting anything from ourselves. So my method is take a small, excitable step. If you want to take a little bit outside of your comfort zone, and it's a little bigger than you're used to doing, that's okay. Just make sure you get back up and figure out where your sweet spot is for fun and leap from there, because it's inevitable that you'll take bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger leaps. And then you'll be quantum leaping through time to all of your dreams and desires.
I absolutely love that. I love that. And I am going to implement that straight away, because I do have a tendency to overstretch myself. So it's not necessarily doing all the things at once, but it's more the beating myself up if it doesn't go to plan. And with what you've just said, then having that fun element, it's going to come in anyway. I'm going to make time for fun more than I'm going to make time for structure and routine, so to speak.
Absolutely. And you know how this is. And I call this process progressive progression. It's just progressing progressively. Just there. And we will try to lose 50 pounds, for example, and we'll try to take too big of leaps, and we'll stretch the length of time in which we can lose the 50 pounds because we feel so discouraged, versus just taking small, slow, consistent steps, knowing that we have time, we will get better, we will improve, we will add more later, and that what we're doing right now is enough. And that ends up collapsing time. Absolutely. So progression, opportunity to collapse time while incorporating fun into the mix.
I love that. I've never heard it explained in that way. I can't wait to start implementing it. It's really sat with me, and it's just kind of gone, okay, let's go with that one. So I'm going to come back and share about that. I love it. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay. What do you do to challenge your underlying beliefs, paradigms, and assumptions?
So first of all, I have found recently, even more so, that freaking out is probably the best thing that I can do.
I didn't want to spit that back out there. I thought something was coming. Oh, I love that.
F out is the best thing that I can do. The best thing I could do. Because if I let the feelings, if I acknowledge that every feeling is working for me and every feeling is temporary and it's just a sign and it's just a symbol of where I'm at, then if I let myself freak out, I move through it faster. So now what's happening more often is, as I take these big leaps into the unknown and I take risks, I freak out while I'm doing it.
But own the freaking out.
Hey, yes. And what it's turning into, Lauren, is it's that feeling of like going up a roller coaster. When you go down the roller coaster, you could either scream for dear life, like with fear, or you can scream with like a smile on your face. Either way, you're still screaming and it's kind of scary. But
which one are you?
Well, it depends on the roller coaster, because some are too high to where I can't smile.
I was going to say, I don't know if I should admit this, but I think I'm the screamer on the roller coaster.
I'll normally scream with my hands in the air, but some of them are just too high and they hit just right to where I'm like, I'm not okay with this. I regret. But that's the thing, is you can curse your way down that hill. You better curse, because you know the feeling. If you don't curse, it's like a whole body, and it feels more freeing to let it out verbally, emotionally, just energetically. It feels better to get it out. So the same feeling, the same exact feeling with taking risks or going out and trying to do new things and explore my emotions. And when I let myself freak out, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm done. It's like literally a from on the floor or I'll scream. Patrick's had to get me into the car and I'll just scream and move on. And then it's over. And I'm so much happier because of it, because I let the emotion have its time and I let my emotion have
up.
Exactly. And I let it release. I let it discharge. And if we remember that everything is energy, if you let it discharge, it's no longer something you're holding on to. And you let the universe sort it out the way it's supposed to be sorted out, because now you've released it. It's no longer yours to hold.
I find that so fascinating. I am a big releaser of my emotions, but I'll be completely honest, there are times where I stop myself, because sometimes it can be like, it's over exaggeration, some people may call it, or a reaction that's not needed. And I've been brought up to think that my emotions, showing my emotions, it's not safe. We don't do it, that there's something wrong if you show the emotions. So for me, I've had a journey to even release. There was like 10 years where I shut down completely, and I felt if I cried, they were just like empty tears. There was no emotion, there was no feeling. I was like numb for years on end. So as I'm coming through this, I just absolutely love how you say that, because I feel I do own my emotions, but I also feel that I upset a few people maybe around me who don't necessarily understand it's healthy. There is nothing wrong because I'm experiencing emotions. Fair enough if I was experiencing them and I was attacking somebody or kind of verbally, and it was used in a wrong, negative way. But to just cry because you feel like crying, to just shout because I'm getting all frustrated, is completely okay. And I just love how you're also here giving the evidence off to say, this isn't just one person saying it, this is how we roll. This is how we're humans.
We have ducts for a reason. Physiologically, I found out, and I don't know if this is true because it's still a theory, but they've said that tears are why do my eyes leak water whenever I feel this like vibration feeling in my body? And it's funny, I found out that they believe it's because when you have an emotional experience, you have a lot of hormones released at one time. And anything that excretes from the body is the body trying to purge extra of what it has. So the tears are releasing hormones. And if you don't let it out, excess of hormone stays in your body. You can't get it out. So that's more of a scientific thing to think about. But the other thing I like to remember is that if I were to cry next to someone and they were to get uncomfortable or frustrated, what I'm being for them is a mirror to either fear or pain or sadness that they are experiencing that they themselves have not got out, which is why they feel uncomfortable. It's not because they don't think that I'm going to die. Maybe they think I'm going to die, or I might actually say, I think I'm going to die. But for them on a deeper level, for example, if you were to just bawl your eyes out in front of me, I'd be like, oh, good for her. It wouldn't faze me because I understand what that process is. I wouldn't take your emotions and make it mean anything for me. But most people have that intelligence built up yet. And so they see your reaction more as a mirror to them and their sense of control or their sense of ability to help or rescue or all of these other things. So it ends up being more about them than you. So you don't have to cry in the middle of the store, but it's whenever we remember.
If you want to.
Yeah, or if you want to, go for it, please, everybody. But it's just important to remember that other people's reactions are always on them. Yeah. So if we ever feel like we need to let it out, it's nice to go and do it in private, but also it's okay if we can't do it in private. We need to do it in public.
Of course, yeah, of course. And I love how you talk through that. And yeah, this is just so powerful. I'm learning so much. So again, all of them extra questions in there, I hope it's bringing lots for everybody that's watching.
Yeah,
it sure is for me. Okay, so what values are you committed to?
Well, right now, I'm very committed to celebrating and making sure that that's my default more than anything. I'm also very committed to noticing what my emotional waves are and trying to figure out what are my sabotage patterns. Because right now I'm at a place in my business where I'm kind of doing quantum stuff and I'm moving very fast. And the old self of me is trying to come out. So my values right now is, this is one of the reasons why me letting my emotions come out is very crucial, because I either get off the roller coaster at the top of the hill and have to walk down the really creepy staircase, right? Or I just let it all flow and go down. And I want to experience the going down part. So rather than, just keeping it all tight inside, what I'm really working on is exactly what we just said, is just letting my emotions out and letting my emotions be okay. That's the biggest value that I'm building in right now. And the other reason is because, like I said before, if I can master this for myself, anytime a client, whether she's emotional eating, whether she's binge eating, whether she's afraid to exercise, whether she's afraid to commit to anything to herself, if I can master this, I can lead almost anybody through an emotional experience that they're going through as well.
I love that. I love that. I was just going to ask you a few more questions around the eating, but I'm not going to take it off track anymore. So it's something that I've noticed. So it's like the self-sabotage, when my emotions, especially around the time of the month or when my hormones are low, I go straight for the chocolate. I go straight for them, like kind of high vibes. Is that self-sabotage, or depending on the amount, possibly? I'd probably say I'm in that self-sabotage mode sometimes.
It's always the intention. It's always the intent. Why am I putting this in my mouth? And most of the time, when we can't answer that question, it's sabotage.
It's because of emotions.
Absolutely.
I'm going to ask that. Yeah, and I reckon I'll be sabotaging more than I'll be enjoying the chocolate.
Absolutely. So it's like, if the emotion's supposed to come out of our mouth, but we don't feel comfortable letting ourselves either hear what we have to say, letting other people see, feeling comfortable screaming or expressing ourselves in whatever form, whether it's in logical sentences or just whatever it is that is trying to come out, what we typically do is we go grab something to shove it back in.
I'm going to keep my eye on that one.
Yes.
Definitely. Thank you.
I recommend fasting for...
Yeah, I've done fasting in the past, but it's definitely something I'll be open to again. Yeah, that's really interesting. Oh, wow.
I'm in the screen, it feels like you're trapped in a box. But if you let yourself stay in that box long enough, the revelation that's trying to reveal itself to you always comes out. And it's typically very emotional, and that's okay.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's really, really interesting. And there's always another layer. There's always another realization. There's always a different area or a different topic that we can look at, we can research. And this, for me, around my health, around my energy, is just so up there at the moment. It's all, for me, it's all about obviously understanding my emotions more so that I can help others go. And I just absolutely love that. And it's really opened my mind, because there's a few times I go to the fridge and I literally just pick out chocolate, and the more aware I am now, because I've just heard that, and it's gonna change, because it's just the simplest of things. All it takes is one sentence, one word, one analogy that just gives it us in a different way, and it's like ding ding ding. Oh, yes. I don't have to buy chocolate for a while. Just love it. I love it. Okay, so how do you keep your feelings from clouding your next step? I feel like you briefly touched on it, so we don't need to go into this one for long. Mm-hmm. I'm conscious of your time now.
No, totally fine. So how do I let my feelings not cloud my next step? Is that what you asked?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. How do you keep your feelings from clouding the next step?
Yes. So honestly, this is going to sound stereotypical, but I guess this is my answer because this is what I teach. It is the fasting aspect that I just mentioned. I really try to give myself space to have the emotions that are trying to come up. This is a very recent, deep realization on how powerful it is to just let whatever come up, because if I keep it in, it will cloud my judgment. It will cloud my next step. Because it's almost like it has to go in order. We hear about spiritual bypassing. That's a real thing. If we skip through it, we're avoiding the resolution. And the resolution is the lesson that we're supposed to be receiving from God himself in order to ground us in a new way to think, so that we are able to move into this next level desire that we're frustrated about not being able to get to.
Yes.
So the emotion is the teacher. The words on the other side of us expressing our emotion is the answer. But what do? We shove it down. We'll cloud ourselves with Netflix and other people's lives and stories. We will let our house get so cluttered to where we can't even think straight. And so we'll sabotage in many, many ways. And although that's okay, it's nothing to judge ourselves on. It's just recognizing that that's the process. So what I found has helped me is to, again, try to fast for a couple of hours, because I can feel myself wanting to kind of go to the fridge just because. And if I let myself, typically I can't just sit around and not eat. So I have to go out and move my body. And the sun has an amazing way of clearing up a lot of bad feelings, because the sun rarely feels bad. It's just simple warmth. And moving my body, whether it's intentional exercise or just going for a walk outside, always helps me get closer to that feeling of revelation that the emotion is trying to speak to me. So it's a matter of moving that energy. Again, whether it's out your voice or through your body, it's going to come up, and then you'll be like, oh, I got it. And now I'm more empowered to take the next step, because I got the ticket, the clue on what to do to move forward. The emotion's over.
Yes, yeah. And it's like, it's the way I'm kind of describe it is like seed in a path. It kind of reminds me of that nursery rhyme, you know, I can't remember the exact one, but where is it the gingerbread man where they used to leave the crumbs? I can't remember. It's like, I think it was the gingerbread man where they left the trail of crumbs along the way, and it's similar.
Hansel and Gretel.
Hansel and Gretel, that was it, yeah. But it's quite similar, and it's the same as, you know, taking them unknown steps. And it's like what we're talking about here as well. It's going into the unknown, taking them small, fun steps, but each step kind of leads up to this bigger picture. And where I was going with that is like each of them seeds kind of release like the next kind of clue or the next puzzle or the next kind of activation to kind of move in that next direction. And it truly is the trust and the faith of knowing that when we're feeling good, when we're working in this way, that it has to result, because it is scientifically proven that if you do it in this way and do not drop the ball, do not give up, it will come, because that's law, it's science.
You're attracting it, you're desiring it, it's trying to come. It's trying to come to us all the time.
It's us that hold it back from all of these.
Literally.
Like you just said, there's a few examples there, and I think, I do that sometimes as well. And I do that. And sometimes we're just not aware because we're focused in a certain way. It could just be taking care of the kids. It could be going to work, just looking after the house. And then there's just these other little things where we're not taking care of ourselves. And before we know it, we look around, and like you've just mentioned, the house can be messy. And I, for one, if I've got mess around me, my mind does not function. It doesn't function. It has to be clear. And with 2 children and a 3-year-old who literally just enjoys getting all of the boxes, that literally she goes into a room and goes, oh, tip it out. And it's just, it can get a little bit, you know, it can get a lot. And I've noticed as well, that's when I go to the fridge. When the house is a mess and I'm like, I've picked up so many toys for one day, I'm like, I need some chocolate. But it's for me to check these and go, hang on a minute, it's not going to help me in the long run. It's not what I want, because I know when I consume too much chocolate, it brings my mood down. When I have a little bit of it, depending, it can bring me up, but I eat too much and it brings me down. So that's where I need to go.
Absolutely. That is so good. That is so right.
I love that. Okay, so we're coming to the end, and I really don't want to ask this question. I've got 1,000 more I can throw at you. But I would love to hear it for anybody who's watching this. And I'm really sorry if anyone's been commenting. I can't see the comments because I'm doing this through Zoom, but I will come off and check in with everybody. So please don't think we're ignoring anyone. I just physically can't see them. So what's the advice you would give to your younger self who is just beginning this journey?
Oh, this question gets me every time. Ooh, okay, I got the chill bumps now because that makes me emotional. But I'm going to express my emotions to you to get it out because it's supposed to come out here right now. Okay. So what I would tell
in action.
Oh, here you guys are watching it live. Okay, so what I would tell the younger version of myself is that everything I'm going through is okay, and it's going to teach me where I need to go. But if I could change something, I would make sure that I told my younger self that no matter what, I have to make sure that my light continues to shine, no matter what. And it's this feeling that's not out of obligation, because remember at the beginning, we talked about expansion. My light shining for other people is not just for them. If my light is on, that means I get to experience the fullest version from my lens of what life gets to look like. But the benefit of doing that is that everyone that's supposed to encounter me in the way they're supposed to encounter me is going to get what it is that they need or what they're supposed to receive. And that's going to turn the light on in them. And so I'm a physiologist. That's what I got my degrees in. And so what I see it as is literally what happens when we have a heart attack is that basically imagine a little clot floats through and it blocks an artery. And what it does is it keeps the blood flow from flowing to certain cells within the heart. And the blood flow is life. It has oxygen. It gives the cells what they need to function. But if we think of the oxygen as light and those cells are not receiving that light, they die. And if that space is that the number of cells that are influenced is large enough, the entire heart cannot function. So I imagine us as all a bunch of cells encountering each other together. And if I don't show up in my fullest expression, I'm dead. My light's dim. And I cannot be a contributing element to the entire organ that is our global world. That's how I see it. So if I just do whatever I can to make sure that my light isn't just on, but it's radiating as bright as I can make it radiate that day, that's all I can do. And I get to benefit from it because I'm functioning. I'm excited. I'm living life the way I'm supposed to live it. So that's what I would tell my younger self. Don't hide, figure out how to make your light shine, and it's all going to be okay.
I love that. Absolutely love that. Do not dim your light. And I think what come through that as well was a stronger message, was the bigger mission, was the passion, the soul calling, I feel it too. I feel the power, I feel the pull, and I just absolutely love it, because the thing is when we are tapped into the light, not only are our own lives expansive and lit up and good, every single person who we meet, we have that knock-on effect. We have the ripple effect. So when we're lit up, they also become lit up, and then they light somebody else up, and they light somebody else up. And imagine a world where everybody was happy, where everyone could understand each other, where we were allowed to have the emotions without hurting other people, without reacting, and without having the blame and the victim mentality. Imagine if we all took responsibility for our own selves and our emotions and our energy, and how different it would be. And this is just part of the work. It's all, I would love to see that. And there's many circles, and there's big groups of people that do meditation, like the light work. It's more that I'm looking more into light work. It's a path that keeps showing up for me at the minute. But when people are doing meditation and they're focused on the light, they can bring all of this in, and the energy that comes from that is literally, even though we can't see it, it is felt everywhere. It is just felt everywhere. And I absolutely love you to pieces. I have learned so much, and I want to ask you a few questions around the fasting side of things, but it'll be something I'll come into your inbox when we're free and we're off here. But there is just so much gold, so much information, I'm not quite sure how I feel about not eating chocolate right now, but I appreciate you giving me that awareness. And this is it. We get to make a choice. We don't have to make it hard. For me, my desire is to be the best version of myself. And if that is an area where I'm self-sabotaging, I'm absolutely going to look at it and take self-responsibility for that. That does not mean I'm going to cut myself out and I'm going to make myself miserable. I'm going to do it because I'm going to do it to help myself. And yeah.
Love it. Love it. Oh my.
Samantha, thank you so much for coming here, for spending your time, for giving me a absolutely incredible Friday evening. If anyone's noticed, it's got a little bit darker. The sun's gone down. The sun's gone down. My face has gone a bit shiny, but oh well. Let's just get on with it. So have the most amazing day. Anybody who's commented, I will come. And also, if there's anything you want to share, is there any last things that you want to say? Where can we find you? I'll put your links as well below.
Okay, yeah. So I am mostly on Facebook. I have an Instagram, Active Attractive, but I'm not very active there right now. So Facebook, and then my personal page is Samantha Nicole, and then my private Facebook group, the one that Lauren was referring to, is called The Active and Attractive. So you can find a lot of information there. We go through, we talk about, you can ask any questions.
See my meditation journal as well, won't you? That's
yeah.
So you'll be able to see that as well.
You're gonna end up seeing everything that Lauren experienced, because it was a very amazing
Come on the journey. It was so much fun. It was so much fun. It was.
Yeah, so anything, you guys will get to see my methods, the way I think about everything, health and nutrition, and you'll be able to not only develop your physical body, but really integrate the spiritual aspect as well.
I just love it. I love it. Okay, thank you so much. Have the best rest of your day, and we'll catch up soon. And thank you to everybody who's been watching. And don't forget about the expansive giveaway. See you all soon.